Welcome to My Startup TV. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. Today we are at the India Startup Festival 2023, day 2, and I have a very interesting guest who's a doctor by profession, an innovator, and an entrepreneur, all blended into one. Dr. Vishal Rao, who's also worked on a device. Let's start with that. Let's hear from him. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sunil.
So your startup is Innovation Medical Devices.
Yes,
am I right?
Yes.
And you're talking about voice boxes.
Yes.
Can you start about talking about the device itself to start with?
So this was an accidental innovation that I think hit me as a destiny about 9 years back when I started on this journey of innovations. And it fundamentally started with being a surgical oncologist. I do a lot of cancers, and throat cancer is the area of my specialty. Whenever we do throat cancer surgeries, these patients lose their voice box, and after that they cannot speak. Now there are only 2 devices available in this world. One is from Europe and the other is from US, both patented and costing 45,000 to up to 1.5 lakhs only for the device, which needs to be changed every 6 months. And thereafter, the procedure charges and other things added up.
And also for the patient, the hassle of getting it changed every 6 months.
6 months. So many of the patients, thousands in India, would go speechless because they couldn't afford this device. So that's when I actually came up with this thing, because one of my patients was a security guard. After the surgery, because he was a chronic smoker, lost his voice box and then lost his job. When he came to me and said that because of this now I've lost my job, how do I help? I went back to him and I was thinking, and that was a serendipitous day when my partner Shashank Mahesh, who's the silicon guru, comes in, and we both like biking. So the discussion was not around medical, but I was telling him we should arrange a bike ride for raising money for these patients. So he asked me a very fundamental question. He said, how long do you think you can keep doing bike rides to raise money for patients? He says, why don't you yourself invent something? So I asked him, I said, what are we talking about? I said, I know the technique of it, I know the mechanism of it, but who's going to build it for me? I need a expert in all these silicon physics and materials and all that. He says, I'm the expert. He says, I know all of this. So the good part about biking, sometimes we don't want to know too much about each other, So that started the journey, and we thought it was a casual conversation. He said, I think we can disrupt this whole thing, and let's just aim at doing a prototype at less than 100 rupees. That was how we discussed about the whole thing. $1 से कम में उसको करेंगे. So it took us a couple of months to keep, what I would say is pondering over it when we would catch up for coffee, to taking baby steps. And then after that came a certain point of confidence when we thought, yes, it's time to accelerate it, because we were seeing it happen. Every step there was something that told us that can't be done. Every time somebody, God sent, would be telling me, saying, oh, you know what, this is not meant for you, this is not possible, this is not feasible. So we had various funny characters who came across to tell us
why it can't be done or should be done.
Why it cannot or should not be done. And it's not possible, and it would be a waste of time. And anyway, we pursued it with a lot of due consideration, giving some ear to their opinions. And then I think these hurdles made us think and refine the product better, because every time they would come, they would pertinently, when people would tell me this, we would wonder why would they say this, and we would study the ecosystem rather than just rubbish somewhere. So that finally led to this product, and today it's a US patent granted, 3rd innovation in the world, and the only innovation by a surgeon for the world. I feel happy because today I have more than 2,000 odd patients who are speaking with it, some who have not spoken for 10 years, 14 years. It's been a difficult journey in innovations, but I realized that in the entire aspect of this entire journey, I have been able to gift voices. It's a small 1 centimeter device. I'll be able to show that sample to you. It just fits into your throat and converts your food pipe into a voice box.
And it doesn't need those 6 monthly interventions.
So we've now been able to show that this replacement requires about yearly. So we've been able to extend its life.
Better than,
Yeah, and we've been able to, with the partnership and support from Government of India and the state governments, make it more affordable under Ayushman Bharat scheme, make it freely available, and we've created an ecosystem. what's the most important learning for us from this entire innovation was we realized that a problem doesn't come with as a single problem. It comes as a cluster. So as we started going deeper, we realized the depth of the problem was that it needed another ecosystem of innovations around it. So we actually worked with the Ministry of Social Justice to ensure that this is included under the Handicaps Act, because now I wanted to give not only its voice, but I also wanted to give the patients their job back. So that's how has this journey been. And I think in this entire journey, the entire philosophy has been that speech is a right and not a privilege. So every person you in this world who deserves to speak should be able to speak.
Very true. Very, very, very powerful statement in that. So, as a doctor, looking at tell about the journey itself. Being from being a doctor to an innovator and an entrepreneur. Talk about that. How was that the mindset shift? I'm bringing this question because a lot of doctors out there, I'm sure they are facing every day similar challenges. And you made a very interesting point on the stage when you said, take that one patient and work around his problem or her problem, and then eventually it lead to other things. So just if you can touch that point and also talk about how is that journey being as a doctor.
I'll rephrase that presentation slide and I'll repeat it. A first year medical student, when I was giving a talk, asked me this question on how do I get a brilliant idea. And I told him, I said, look, hold on to one patient's problem through your life and you'll be flooded with ideas. Don't go and search for problems where the markets are. I often get people coming and telling me, look, there's an AI area and its potential is 3 billion. Let's do something in AI. I tell him you're going the wrong path. If you have a soul to a problem, you can take it to the masses and masses can become markets. And that is the way the innovation pipeline should be, rather than the reverse way. So if you ask me in my journey of entrepreneurial work, a couple of months back, WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, put me as the personality of the month for some of the contributions I've done in innovations, and they conducted an interview, something similar to what you're doing now. And the lady, Catherine, asked me, she said, Vishal, how has your entrepreneurial journey been? And I'm going to repeat the answer. I said, as complex as the word entrepreneur, so is the journey. I still can't pronounce that and spell it right. So it's a difficult journey for every entrepreneur. And that's the beauty of it. Innovation is not about ease. Innovation is about navigation. Innovation is about, I would say, a series of innovations, a cascade of innovations that you'll have to do. And for me, every aspect of this journey has been to look at how do you cross the brick walls that have been made for you. And I think all you need to remember is those brick walls are made for you to just so that you get stronger. So every time that you come across a brick wall, just remember it's been made for you so that you get built stronger and you get better. So every time what we've been able to do over the years, many people said we'll perish within 2 years. It's been close to 9 years, 10 years. We are slowly scaling it up. But I think the most beautiful thing of this, in this what happened was with the support of Government of India, BIRAC, initially, they gave me a very beautiful idea to say that with such a beautiful innovation, don't leave it at one innovation, create an ecosystem. So I'm an advocate of Make in India version 2.0, which is Create in India. I believe that the second version of Make in India will be Create in India. Every single component will be from India. And that is when we will reach the zenith of our competition at the global scale. That is when we will change the game for the global conversation. And that is what I want to see in my lifetime, and I want to be that change. So if you look at my innovations around it, I believe in creating it here. I do not believe in importing from China and assembling in India.
That's commendable. Yeah, that's
so today we have a full factory with silicon, with extruders, with the plastic moldings, tool room machines, LSD injection moldings. I've kind of partly become an engineer understanding all of these nuances, but it's been a very important learning journey.
There will be doctors out there, medical professionals like you, who are probably seeing the same thing and probably thinking, if somebody could build a product around it. And, it's a difficult journey. Are you open to collaborating with them, that their ideas can be, worked with you, and they come as domain expert from their own domains As medical fraternity, that's
So,
all money.
so when I've been doing this over the last many years, and one of the things that I created as an initiative and a platform is Maker's Nest
For medical professionals?
for medical and overall innovations, where we say that if you look at the innovation ecosystem, it should be like a Formula One, and TRL 0 to 6, which is research and development, and later deployment. 6 to 9 is deployment. Research and development should be like a Formula One pit stop. That's the only way the younger generation will be ignited to innovate. So I've created an ecosystem of this kind of a platform wherein people can actually connect beyond this to help improve their ideas, take it from idea to POC, create, before creating an entity, create an idea, a clear question, and then help create an entity. So we've created the Maker's Nest initiative where we do makeathons like hackathons. We create initiatives on various things, and we've also included a very interesting theme. So what we help them with is, I believe the era of incubator is gone, and that's what I believe in. You don't need a table and chair for an innovator.
Yes.
What you need is 5 things. You need intellectual property, you need regulatory guidance, you need market access, market intelligence, and you need funding. Give him these 5 and he doesn't need a table and chair. He'll be roaming around. So now we said we'll be able to guide these people into these areas and handle them into the path of innovation. So with Maker's Nest program, what we created out of this was an ecosystem where we've also added a module called boundaryless thinking with one of our partners, wherein if you come up to me with an idea, like a vaccine company came up to me with an idea which they wanted me to mentor them with and guide them. So I make them pass through this session of boundaryless thinking, where I study from politics, sports, entertainment, art, mafia, and anything else, non-domain. And I came back to them and I said that there's a battery company in Israel that was functioning similar to the vaccine company's model. So that's the kind of disruption that we require today in cross-domain areas. What I see in this ecosystem today is, yes, with innovators, that we need to cross-collaborate across domains. And I think that is going to expand the scope of the ability to innovate, disrupt, and actually evolve new ideas.
Interesting. You also made a point, where you said ideas come to you. You don't own the idea. It's not your idea.
Correct.
Could you elaborate on that?
So this is an interesting meeting when I had with His Holiness at McLeodganj. There was a very beautiful, thought-provoking point that he had said, that an idea comes to you, not from you. Now I thought this was very deep, because I always feel that I'm the owner of the idea.
All of us kind of think, all those entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but it was a very deep, powerful thought that an idea comes from you. It comes to you, not from you. So I'm not the owner of the idea. An idea is reaching hundreds of us at the same time. How many times, Sunil, have you woken up with that brilliant idea and Googled it up just to realize that you've just missed a Nobel Prize? So I've gone through this multiple times.
Okay.
And I keep thinking to myself, how have so many people already done it? I thought this is the most unique, brilliant idea that has just come across my life. And I wake up with the Eureka moment, Google it, and I just go depressed with a cup of coffee sitting and thinking, I think 200 have already completed this. So I think that's the whole theme of an idea comes to you and not from you.
Interesting. Now let me switch the gear and ask you, what bike do you ride? And
So
because doctor, biking, and and just share a little bit about the biking side of the world.
So my dad loved biking, so he taught us biking at a very early age, and I have a Hayabusa now, a Suzuki Hayabusa. I believe that bikes are a form of meditation. So as a bike, it's a meditative state when you are with your machine. So biking has been a great passion for me and a great relaxation also. So I have had this very close camaraderie with these machines. They are like a part of my family and life.
Well, hope to see someday ride with you. I also go out. So
Wonderful.
So thank you very much for being on our show.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll just take one more question from you. My Startup TV is a channel dedicated, or media house dedicated to startups and entrepreneurs. We cover everything around startups. What do you think about us? What we are doing?
When I first saw you all and your crew, and I was actually observing your shirts. I love the designs and the logos. I was quite flabbergasted. The first thing that comes to your mind is, are they crazy? How can this be happening? I mean, that's the first spontaneous thought that comes. Like somebody people told me, saying it's not possible. I think it's disruptive. I just simply think it's disruptive. And I think, what? This is what this ecosystem needs. You've given the world something that somebody conventionally cannot imagine. It's very beautiful. And I think that itself shows the disruption you've created in a small ecosystem. By creating something that is very much needed as a platform where people can actually voice out their ideas. And the next 10 years is for Create in India. And you could be the biggest contributor to this country's innovation system, because I think the biggest issue with us is there is so much great work done in this country, but people do not know about it. So playing this role of creating a platform for inventors, innovators, I keep saying this. Why hasn't India got a Nobel Prize in Science for so long? What does it take for us to improve the scientific temperament of a common man? And I think this is the kind of platforms that would make that small shift in your scientific temperament and inspire people to maybe contribute much larger to the country. So kudos to the entire team. I must tell you, under your leadership, this is a much needed initiative. I'm personally sold, very impressed, and I genuinely feel any support I can be of. I'm one of your brand ambassadors now.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That reminds me. Can you talk something about the Mangalore ecosystem, emerging ecosystem? If you can do in Tulu, we'll give it to them.
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Sort of a message saying, take away from.
As a Mangalorean, I was often told, whenever people say, you're a Mangalorean, they say this coastal belt people, what do? They keep trying to push the borders all the time, So I was telling them, this coastal belt, this Mangalore belt, has something very interesting in it. We cover from the Miss World to the underworld, they've covered everything, very strangely. So I don't know, there's something about Mangalore. It seems to be a planet in itself, I feel. It's very unique. I don't know. I come from Mangalorean genes, so
there's a Western Ghat which is kind of creating.
But I'm going to be living and dying a Mangalorean in my heart. So if we can have this conversation in Tulu, it will be more respectful for Mangalore.
Yes, definitely. So my Tulu is not that all that good, but I will still try to make an attempt at with all due apologies and respect to people from my own land.
No.
So now I have to think. Conversation was fine. The message korle because I will do it half.
Yeah, no problem.
In a message that Mangalore ecosystem, the emerging ecosystem about startups.
Startups patirno dumbu. Yanna entire ecosystem odu kaltiniya vishayam enjina. Lot of the times, innovation, disruption, jugad, engulega college ed engul kaltada. Now I feel when I look back into school and college, I studied at St. Aloysius College and school. ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಒಂಜಿ ವಿಷಯ ಪುನಂಜಿನ ಎಂಕ್ಲು ಏಪಲೆನ್ನು ಕುಡ್ಲದ ವಿಷಯ ಪಾತಿರ್ನಾಗ ಕುಡ್ಲದಕುಲು ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ ವಾ ಕಾರ್ನರ್ ಇಟ್ಲ ಮುಟ್ಟುದೇರಿತು ಯಾನ್ ತಮಾಷೆಗೆ ಏಪಲ ಅನ್ಪು ಅಕುಲು ಮಿಸ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಇಡ್ದು ಅಂಡರ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾತ ಕವರ್ ಮಲ್ಪಿ
ಸತ್ಯನೇ.
ಸೊ ಈ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ the Kudlites have a very specific blend of courage, of some amount of out of the box thinking, and some unknown perseverance which comes from that salt water. I don't know what it comes from. So it's very interesting that the Kudla gene is very unique, and I can Kudla Mangalore the planet bete undu ಕೆಲವು ಎಂಗಳು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಬೇತಿನ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಕ ತೋಜುವ ಎಂಗಳ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬೇತೆ ಈ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬರ್ತದೆ and first time ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲ ಬಂದ್ಬಂಡಿ
Oh, okay.
because we speak in a very polished
Tone,
Kannada,
Polished Kannada. Okay.
which is not the they have another slang to Kannada in Bangalore, in Mysore. It keeps changing the dialects, but Mangaloreans have a very soft, polished Kannada, which many of
Very
them feel
unique
is
to-
very very different and sometimes funny. So yenta maraya people tell me, which is what my people my friends make fun of me, but that is our Tulu style. And the problem is, old Tulu, suddenly we connect with each other.
Correct.
And our conversation goes in another direction. So I think I owe a lot of my inventions and my teachings, my philosophies, to my teachers, to my mother and my parents, my father, and the ecosystem that Mangalore provided. Mangalore was the place where I actually felt I learned frugality. ಕುಡ್ಲಡ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಇನೋವೇಷನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ನಿ, ಕುಡ್ಲಡ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಜುಗಾಡ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ನಿ, ಕುಡ್ಲಡ್ ಎಂಕ್ಲೆಂಚ ಅನ್ಪ ಎಂಕ್ಲವೆನ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಡ್ ಎಂಕ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಲರ್ನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಒಂದು, and some of the funny slangs that we keep thinking about today and laughing. Engulu ennaga panpa engulu that Kudla has a different flavor of its own. So alekadu Kudla ecosystem will have to, and just couple of days back I was telling that we want to propose a beach fest for innovation in Kudla.
Yes.
And we'll invite you to be a part of this beach fest, because I think Kudla will have to show some disruption from its own style. And Kudla signature will be seen in those disruptions, and one of them is mine. And today, when my machine was taken to Davos, and when I'm taking major pride and claim that I'm a Mangalorean, and this blood has a different salt water that runs here, and I think it's very special to be a part of the Mangalore ecosystem where you've learned, you've bred there, and I think I often keep getting emotional when I talk about Mangalore, because
I can see that. I can feel that.
I think it's a story that can't be completed fully. So it just kind of keeps playing in front of me. But thank you for talking to me about it.
One final question. Mangalore startup ecosystem or business ecosystem develop ಆರಪಂಡ youth role ಎಂಚ ಒಪ್ಪೋಡು
Sir, ಎನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮಾಂತ ಕಡೆ and Mangalore specifically, it is only the youth who can drive this. ಎನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ, and this innovation ecosystem has to be disrupted from class 5 onwards or earlier. So ಎನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ we'll have to go and penetrate into schools, start opening their minds to thinking beyond the conventional borders, educating them on unlearning some of the things and opening up the space, and that can only be done by the youth. We call this reverse mentorship, wherein the younger will teach the seniors, the startup will teach the corporation, the more agile and the mature will be taught by the more younger and the more crass people. This is the kind of ecosystem that we will require to disrupt ecosystems, and we'll have to listen to the youngsters. So Yanna Prakara, the Kudla's youth power has to be harnessed into 1,000 manifold to bring out more innovative things. The power of education that we have and academia we have in Mangalore is unimaginable.
World famous.
So it just cannot be only an education hub. It has to become an innovation hub. It has to become an R&D hub. It has to be a place from where Nobel laureates will come from. And that is what I hope for Mangalore.
So let's collaborate and let's do something towards that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on our show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
About the startup ecosystem, subscribe to my Startup TV.